There are players who play football, and then there are players who make football look like art. Zinedine Zidane, the magician from Marseille, the man with vision beyond human eyes, and one of the most gifted players ever to touch a football. When people talk about prime Zidane, they talk about football at its purest, elegance, control, and genius combined in one body. In his prime, Zidane wasn't just great. He was unreal. He was actually insane. Let's rewind time. Born in La Castellane, a rough neighborhood in Marseille, Zidane's rise was never guaranteed. But from the streets to the world stage, his touch with the ball looked like destiny. When other kids were fighting for space, Zidane was already dancing with the ball at his feet. By the time he reached Bordeaux and then Juventus, the world began to notice something different. This was a midfielder who didn't just pass, he painted. His dribbles weren't tricks, they were movements of rhythm and balance. When Zidane spun away from pressure, it looked effortless, like gravity didn't apply to him. At Juventus, alongside legends like Del Piero and Inzaghi, Zidane became the brain of the team. Every attack started with him. Every spark came from his creativity. He led Juve to 2 Serie A titles and 2 Champions League finals, dominating Europe with calm brilliance. Even against the toughest defenders of the 90s, Nesta, Maldini, Thuram, Zidane stood tall, never rushed, never afraid. But his true masterpiece came at Real Madrid. When he joined Los Blancos in 2001 for a world record fee, critics wondered if he was worth it. Zidane answered with poetry. His very first season, he wrote his name in Champions League history, the 2002 final against Bayer Leverkusen. That volley, that left-footed masterpiece. The ball floated from Roberto Carlos, Zidane adjusted, and with one graceful swing, he created one of the greatest goals in football history. A moment frozen in time, one touch that defined a career. But Zidane wasn't about stats. He wasn't about goals or assists. He was about control, the kind of control that silenced stadiums. Watch him play, and you'll see something that no data can explain. His first touch killed the ball like magic. His turns, the famous roulette, became legendary. His balance, his vision, his calmness under pressure, it felt supernatural. When Zidane played, football looked simple. But no one else could do it like him. For France, he was a god. The 1998 World Cup made him immortal. 2 headers in the final against Brazil, the world champions, destroyed by the brilliance of a man who seemed born for the big stage. France lifted their first ever World Cup, and Zidane became the hero of a nation. 2 years later, at Euro 2000, he was unstoppable. Every touch, every pass, every free kick, perfection. That France team, with Henry, Vieira, Deschamps, and Zidane, played like kings. Zidane's golden goal against Portugal in the semi-finals remains one of his coldest moments. Calm, ruthless, flawless. By the mid-2000s, Zidane's legacy was already set. But he still had one final masterpiece left, the 2006 World Cup. At 34, when most players slowed down, Zidane turned back time. Against Brazil in the quarterfinal, he delivered one of the greatest individual performances ever seen. He didn't just control the game, he owned it. Every touch against Ronaldinho, Kaká, and Ronaldo was pure class. It was as if the ball obeyed him. Then came the final. France versus Italy. Zidane's final match. He opened the scoring with the audacious Panenka penalty, a moment of pure confidence. Only Zidane could try that in a World Cup final. But destiny had another twist. The infamous headbutt on Marco Materazzi. One moment of emotion that ended his career. The world watched in disbelief as the genius walked off the pitch for the last time. But even that, the headbutt, became part of the Zidane legend. Because it showed what he always was, human. Passionate, fiery, emotional. The same fire that made him great also made him flawed. And that's what made him unforgettable. After retirement, Zidane continued to inspire, as a coach. Leading Real Madrid to 3 consecutive Champions League titles, he proved his genius wasn't limited to playing. He understood the game like few ever have, calm, focused, and always elegant. Prime Zidane was different. He didn't need speed. He didn't need flash. His weapon was control, Over the ball, over the game, over time itself. He could glide past opponents without a sprint. He could dominate matches with nothing but a glance and